Okay.
So Brett, you ready?
Yeah, why don't we get started? We have about 30 people. I think we had about 60 invitations, so we'll get started. And we know time is short because we're going to start at 5:45 with Steve and Lisa. And this was really just set up really for this purpose, to let you guys chat for a few minutes. We did have a short program though, and I wanted to really just kind of give a little bit of an introduction to what we're doing at the center and update you. I wish we had been able to do this in person, but given where we are, with COVID-19, this was the best we could do. Hopefully, things will get better and we will be able to do in-person programs perhaps in the fall. So we owe you guys an in-person reunion at some point. I do think we do have an interesting program for you. We're going to give you a brief update on the center. I wanted to let you hear from a couple of your fellow grads. We wanted to share some good news with you in terms of some of our fundraising, and then I wanted you to have a chance maybe to chat with Lisa and Steve for a few minutes. Just to start off, I wanted to, I saw Laura and Tia were on. I wanted to thank Wells Fargo for their ongoing support for the center and for sponsoring tonight's reunion webcast. We're really grateful for all they've done for the center over many, many years. And I would be remiss also if I didn't thank our year-round corporate donors, as well as our foundation supporters who generally support our programmatic work. As you know, this year has been challenging for our community. It's like really none other that we've faced in our lifetime, certainly in my lifetime. And at the center, we've had to adapt both our plans and our programs to meet these challenges. And I'd like to give you just a quick update on how we're doing that. And to start with, as you know, we are an organization that really is about bringing together business, government, and community stakeholders to engage in fact-based and strategic planning on the most important issues facing the Houston region, really into three areas of leadership, community engagement, and strategic initiatives. And so I'm just going to briefly touch on each of those initiatives. So in terms of our strategic initiatives, we're working in three areas. We're working in the area of immigration, climate and energy, and healthcare. And we've been working now in the immigration area for almost 3 years on really trying to create a new dialogue on immigration through this work we're doing in terms of talking about the economic importance of immigrants to the Houston region. I know this is something that we're really building on Steve's work, and I'm sure he'll talk about this a little later this evening, as well as some videos that we're doing with Rational Middle. If you haven't seen them, they're really great. They're on the Rational Middle website. Rational Middle is a production partner of ours, and Stan Merrick has generously underwritten that work. As I said, we have 2 more in production, and we've really taken those out to the community. We've done over 30 events now, I think, across the community where we've shown the videos and had dialogue with folks on immigration to start to understand what some of those issues are. Our energy and climate work is one of the areas that is growing, and I think we're starting to get some real traction on that. This summer, we're working with University of Houston and 12 interns at U of H in 4 areas: in carbon capture, utilization, storage, and hydrogen, and electrification, and plastics recycling. And I think we'll be announcing some of the results of that work in the fall at a conference. Hopefully it'll be an in-person conference, but if not, it will be a virtual conference. And then we're working with an organization called Texas 2036, which some of you may know. Margaret Spellings is leading that organization, former Secretary of Education Margaret Spellings. And we're working on thinking about where the energy industry in Texas is going. So they've been a great partner of ours as well. We just completed a piece of work in healthcare that looks at both the health of the community and the healthcare sector's potential to become an economic growth engine. And we're hopefully going to be able to release that work very soon. I think a lot of it indicated some of the things that we're seeing with the pandemic, some of the problems that we're seeing with the pandemic. And in our webcast series, which if some of you saw that, we featured some of the work by Stephen Linder, who we worked with very closely in the healthcare area. So that's our strategic initiatives, very interesting work, and I think is really starting to break some interesting ground there. In terms of our community engagement, as you know, we do two big fundraising events, one in the spring and one in the fall, where we've brought thought leaders like Darren Walker and Pulitzer Prize winner Larry Wright, as well as Mimi Schwartz, and as I mentioned, Margaret Spellings, to the community to share thoughts on what's going on, not only globally, but how those what trends are in Texas. Events like this that we're doing tonight with Steve and Lisa are examples of our community events. And very soon, hopefully next week, we'll announce our summer programming, our summer salon series, and we're very excited about taking that virtually. We'll have some very interesting things to offer you guys in terms of events over the summer. And finally, in terms of our leadership work, as you know, the Leadership Forum is our core program, over 1,200 graduates in our leadership program, and that program is evolving as well. This fall, it'll focus on some of the systemic change issues that have been uncovered over the last couple months. And so we're very interested to see how that program evolves. It will go virtual. And so we're both changing the content and the format of that program. So more information is available from Russell. I think it'll be a really great program. Very interested, and as you know, it's referral based, so we're very interested in having you guys who have been graduates of the program help us get people in your organizations engaged in that program. Tonight's webcast is the finale of our series, Leadership in Times of Crisis. We did 10 webcasts over the last couple months, really to sort of think about what is a new model for leadership in times of crisis, and how do we think about using a crisis to spur conditions for systemic change. If you missed any of this series, or if you want to look at some of the ones that we've done, they're all available on our webcast. They were all great, and I really do think they were really a great resource for the community in thinking about how do we manage through a crisis like the one we're going through. And then finally, in our graduate engagement work, we have a steering committee of 30 graduates you're going to be hearing from Ariana in a few minutes, in which we're trying to build new ways of engaging our graduate community. And one of the ways we're doing that is through a new series, a brown bag series, and our first one is on public health. Sharon Pepper and Paul Allison have put this together. The first one is on emergency planning and community right to know. And here is the first event. And I hope if you're interested in this event or in this series in helping us put this together, this is really being driven by the graduate community. Please talk to Sharon and Paul about getting involved in this, and please attend this first one on the 18th. So that's kind of what we're doing with our at the center. I'd also like to let you know that this year is a very special year because it's our 20th anniversary. And Gene could not be here tonight. He is, not only is he socially distancing, but he's out at his vacation home in Brenham and didn't have a good internet connection, so he couldn't join us tonight. But if he were here, he would surely tell everyone that after 20 years, he not only feels like the father of the center, but the grandfather. But he did want me to let you know that he's very proud of what the center has accomplished, and that his vision is, as it was at the start, is to solve the region's most crucial problems. And so since he couldn't be here tonight, he did want me to share a brief video to give you a sense of what his vision was. The Center for Houston's Future has really had some amazing achievements over its 20-year history.
The center's mission is to make the Houston region a top global community in which to live and work. Gene Vaughn, who was the founder of the center, had a real vision for what he saw as the need for a new generation of leaders in the city to create a network of people who were committed to making Houston a great place to live and work.
Houston needed an organization that could look over the horizon at the problems and the opportunities that are hurdling at our region and to prepare for them.
The center works on the local level to affect a change in a community. So the 20th anniversary of the Center for Houston's Future is not only an opportunity to look back at what we've accomplished and the vision that Gene Vaughn had for the organization, but to start to look forward and how we are going to evolve this organization over the next 20 years.
So I also wanted to give a couple of our graduates a chance to say something about the 20th anniversary. So I was going to call on George Martinez. George is a former chairman and really has been involved with the center since its founding in the year 2000. George? Are you there? There you are. Can we hear you? I don't know. We may need to unmute you.
He looks like he's unmuted.
Okay.
Now he's muted.
No, try again, George. Hey, Amanda, you want to try? Do you have everybody muted by chance?
No, he's not muted. I think he might be having a microphone issue with his computer.
Okay.
If we want to just skip ahead to Ariana while he tries to figure it out.
Okay. Hey, George, we may come back to you in a second. We were also ask Ariana Cementa, who's a current co-chair of our leadership steering committee and was in the forum in 2018 to say a few words. So Ariana, maybe let's skip over to you and we'll see if we can come back to George.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you, even virtually. As Brett mentioned, I'm the co-chair of the Leadership Steering Committee. And like many of you, in 2018, I attended several center forums, events, and they were actually called Summer Salon. And those topics and the events really dazzled me. It was a caliber of thinkers and the leaders who are attending and caring about Houston that brought me to forum. And also, of course, a friend of mine who was on the board, Lean Gregg, attended the forum before, and he recommended me for attending mine. To me, that was really a pivotal event because it really put me on the path of appreciating the work that Center does, and I decided to get even deeper involvement with it. And I joined the steering committee and attempted to build up the engagement with the graduates and serving on those committees. So I really enjoyed the forum, and I will highly encourage everybody else who knows their friends and gently nudge them to join the forum and continue this wonderful work that Center does. I think promoting the dialogue and the long-term opportunities and risk for Houston and the region is very important work that Center does. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to try George one more time. Let's try, see if, okay, here we go. See if this works. George, you want to try again? Oh, we're getting feedback.
Turn off the phone.
Okay, George, you want to try one more time?
He's muted now, it looks like.
Okay, George, I think we're going to go on, okay?
Wait,
I'll tell you what, we'll come back to you if we can get you to just, we'll come back to you. Just interrupt if you can get it to work, okay? Well, I just want to, so anyway, we've had, this is, as you know, this has been not only a challenging year in the sense, in many ways, it's been a challenging year for the sustainability of nonprofits. And one of the things that has happened is we've had to cancel many of our fundraising events.
Yeah, I'll change it to this.
George, there you are.
Okay, can you hear
There
me?
you go. Okay, good. Okay. You want to say a few words?
I'm sorry, I think that I had hit the wrong button and
Okay.
it was selecting a microphone that I don't have, so. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm really happy to be here. And thank you, Brett. I'm happy to be attending the 20th anniversary reunion of the graduates of the Leadership Forum. I participated in the forum, the first forum in 2000, learning about the challenges that faced Houston at the turn of the millennium. And I was privileged to serve on the board of directors for 10 years, 2 of those years as chairman. And I've just recently proudly become a member of the Founders Club. I guess you're going to tell us about that.
ooh,
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm really very pleased to know that over 1,200 Houstonians are graduates of the Leadership Forum. And finally, I just want to acknowledge Gene Vaughn, the founding chairman, and still the greatest supporter of the Center for Houston's Future. Gene, we all hope that you and Susan and all your family members are doing well. I know you may not be watching us right now, but you'll see this recording. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to you, Brett.
Okay, thanks, George. Well, as George alluded to, this has been a challenging year in many ways. And one of the challenges that we've had as an organization is just from a sustainability standpoint. And we've had this amazing group of people who have stepped up to the plate to help us with that. And not only to do that, but to commemorate our 20th anniversary. And the way they've done that is, as George alluded to, is by helping us form a founder's circle to sustain the center through this difficult time. So I'm pleased to announce tonight that we've had 21 individuals or couples agree to join a founder's circle and pledge $5,000 or more to ensure that our work in the community continues over the next 20 years and beyond. And that we've raised over $100,000 to launch this Founders Circle. And that was really thanks to Gene Vaughn. You know, Gene's initials are EHV, and he's told me many times that stands for extra high voltage. And he showed that. I mean, if you've ever worked with Gene, you know that he writes these amazing personal letters. And I struggled to keep up with writing my end of the letters after he wrote his. So I had to stay up to 2 or 3 in the morning to write my responses to the folks who were donating to the Founders Club. It was quite an amazing effort. And I just really am so appreciative not only to Gene, but to the folks you see here on the list for really being so generous to donate and step up. So I just read the names and acknowledge their generosity. James Callaway, Catherine Kloss-Mossbacher, George DeMontron, Richard Everett, Harry G., Tony Giahalva, Karen and John Hoffmeister, Michael Jin, Lee Arcade, Ron Lewis, Stan Merrick, George Martinez, Steve Miller, Beth Robertson, Lois Stark, Phoebe and Bobby Tudor, Margaret Vaughn Cox, Richard Vaughn, Susan and Jean Vaughn, Carolyn Vetterling, and David Wolf. And so it's really through their efforts that the center is going to become the legacy that was started 20 years ago is going to continue. But this isn't just a static effort. This is an effort that's just beginning, and it's really through not only the efforts of these folks, but the graduates of the center that we will continue to make this organization successful. And so I'd like to ask Astley to say a few words as well. Astley? Are you there? I know you're there.
Hi, you got it? Can you hear me?
There you are. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so thanks, Brett. As Brett mentioned before, you know, the mission of CHF is even more critical now than ever as we kind of work through to help prepare leaders to guide us, you know, guide our region through the current storm of crisis, and to work with others to find and solve problems as we come together around these opportunities. You know, CHF is dedicated to building coalitions to act on critical issues, such as the resilience, immigration, the energy transition, gaps and opportunities in our health and healthcare sector, and more. I'll hope that you'll, you know, consider lending your support to the center, and clearly, as some of the original founders have done, as Brett just mentioned a few minutes ago. Because today, you know, kind of marks the start of the 20-year anniversary edition of our leadership campaign. This is going to run through till December 31st. And what I'd like to propose to the group is that we try to match the $100,000 that's been raised from the Founders Council. And, you know, hopefully I challenge our fellow graduates of the Leadership Forum to help us to that goal, to raise that additional 100,000. And, you know, I'd even suggest that you make it a competition, right, amongst those graduating years. You know, those that come up, the year that comes up with the most amount of funding, I will personally guarantee that I will match the winning number. So if we can get the years together and get some competition going, whoever wins that challenge, and I will match whatever what that number is going forward. So there'll be more information on this to come over the coming weeks or so. But you know, look forward to your continued support of this vital mission for CHF.
Well, thanks, Astley. That's great. That wasn't unexpected. So we're going to hold you to it. We were recording this, by the way. So
I know.
We got you on tape. Okay, we got a few minutes before we have to go over to the interview. So I want to turn it over to Steve and Lisa, maybe for a couple comments, and we probably have a few minutes for questions for our discussion with Steve and Lisa. So maybe just turn it over to you guys. Steve, you've been involved with the center really since the start, and Lisa, you've had many roles at the Chronicle. Do you guys want to just say a few words, give us a few words, and then we'll take a few questions, and then we can adjourn and hear more from you guys, you know, in the main meeting.
No, you bet, Brett. Well, it's wonderful to be here. I have been involved from the beginning. Back in 2000, it was Jean Vaughn and several others who said, we're in a different place now. This city had come out of a time when it was almost automatic. 80% of the jobs were tied into the price of oil. Oil increased tenfold in value during the 1970s. They used to say you could dress a gorilla in a business suit, send him downtown, he'd become a millionaire in a week. We were automatically growing because of our location in the East Texas oil fields. Sudden collapse in 1982, and then a recovery into a very different world. And Jean saw that more earlier than anyone else and said, we need a center that can look beyond the horizon, and recognizing also that we were becoming a different people than we were when we were this biracial southern city dominated by white men. and talked about, what was it? Deepening the bench and broadening the circle of leadership, and bringing and being able to look ahead and recognize, as Brett was saying, the future has all these challenges coming. We need some organization that can look at that future, see it beyond the short-term horizon of the business world, and recognize the opportunities that are there if we can find a way to seize them. And the center has been just a tremendously powerful force for the first 20 years. It's going to be even more powerful and more important in the next 20 years that are coming. And so it's just an honor and pleasure to be here, and I always feel so honored each year or twice a year to give the opening talk to the leadership group and say, okay, here is what's happening in Houston. Here is where we are. Here are the challenges, and here's the questions that we need to work together to address successfully as we try to position Houston for prosperity in the very different world of the 21st century. So it's been great to see. It's wonderful to see that it's in such good shape 20 years later and ready to launch a whole new set of initiatives. So honored again to be a part of all of this. Thank you.
Lisa, over to you. You want to say a few words?
Yes, no, I'm honored to be here today with all of you. This is exciting. I've interviewed Steve for as long as I've been in Houston, and so I shouldn't have to do too much preparation for this because I've asked him many of the questions. Although I think I was a little hard on him in our prep time, and he said, go easier on me at the event tonight, go easier on me. Because the fact is, there are a lot of, this book is amazing in terms of the data it provides, the window that it provides into a lot of the persistent problems in Houston. But the answers to those problems, that's what you guys need to figure out. Steve's just the data guy. There are such, and he says, no, Lisa, that's what you need to figure out. What do you think the newspaper's for? So those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Lisa Falkenberg. I'm the opinion editor at the Houston Chronicle, and for a long time, I was a Metro columnist, and I wrote about so many different facets of Houston life and policy and education, criminal justice, whatever you can think of. It seems like I wrote about. But the thing is, this is the only city in America where I could have come in and been a columnist because I had never lived here. Jeff Cohen, the former editor of the Chronicle, called me up one day and he said, have you ever wanted to be a columnist? I said, no. He said, well, we'd really like you to try this. You'd have to move to Houston. And I thought, those people are going to eat me alive. I don't know anything about that city. I quickly learned, and people were open enough to tolerate somebody who didn't know the city really well exploring it in a column. And eventually I got to know the place pretty well. And like Steve explains in his book, once you get here, it gets under your skin and you fall in love with the place and you become an accidental Houstonian. So that's me.
Great. So we have just a few minutes for questions. Who'd like to ask Lisa or Steve a question or make a comment?
He doesn't bite. I tested him out earlier today. He doesn't bite.
I'm the oldest here, so I get
Okay,
to
Beth.
make a comment.
Go ahead, Beth.
Both Lisa and Steve, you're a great representation of what makes Houston great. And I'm hoping that we spawn lots of Lisas and lots of Steves and lots of all of us. So it's a pleasure to be here and still be watching this. Steve, I mean, we've been buddies for such a long time. So, we've got lots of future in front of us. Y'all have a lot more future than I have, but I am real excited about all the things that we're going to do. And Steve, your incredible longitudinal study on us is pretty amazing. And hopefully we can keep our minds in the right place and do good coming up and provide a good future for our relatives and for all the communities that are here. Go team.
Well said.
Thank you.
Hey, Brad, this is Russell. I think I see Catherine Mosbacher on the call, and I just wanted to give her a big shout out. Catherine was, with the Center for Houston's Future for 7 years or so, and I had the great pleasure of working with her, and just want to thank her for all of her contributions to the center throughout the 7 or 8 years that she was there. So Catherine, it's great to see you. You look wonderful, and thank you for being on the call.
Yeah, likewise, likewise.
Where are you, Catherine?
Asking you, Russell, this is the first time I've spotted you. I'm just delighted to be a part of this, and I think the Founders Circle is a terrific idea. The time has come, and I think that was a very generous offer from Ashley, and I think that's really going to spur folks to really be a part of it and want to contribute. So I'm delighted that 20 years has gone by, and I was with you guys for 7, and it was a great ride.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
So
thank
I
you
have-
for everything you did. I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate all the time you've given me in helping me, do this job. So I really appreciate it. Okay, we probably have time for one more question or comment. Who wants the final word here?
I think I'll throw out one question if it's all right.
Sure.
So this has been an interesting week and a half for Houston. I think Houston and Texas has a history of when we're faced with challenges, we kind of dig in and overcome them. Houston's the most diverse city in the U.S. You've studied Houston for a long time. Do you think we're up to the challenge of what we've got to walk through as we look forward from George Floyd and kind of where we are as a culture and as a society and as a country?
Wow. Okay. Well, we have the short-term challenges, and then we've got these longer-term challenges. And the short-term challenges are going to be enormous. It's that triple whammy that Houston is facing with the pandemic and the shutdown of the economy and the collapse of oil prices. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we come into this crisis with some real strengths. Can we build on those strengths and position the city for success as we go through this? And then the longer term challenges, the challenges of education, the challenges of quality of life issues that call for sustained investments over a longer haul. The book ends on page 333 or something with, the jury is out. The jury is out for Houston, and the jury is out for America in terms of our ability to make the kinds of investments in a sustained way that these times demand of us. But there's great strengths in the city, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and what role we can all play in contributing to improving the prospects as we go forward.
Well, great. Well, thank you all for being part of this reunion. Next time, let's do it in person. And we'll get to hear some more from Steve and Lisa in about 10 minutes. So you should have another link in your email. And I think we have about 300 people who are signed up. Very pleased that we had such a great turnout and very interested to hear that discussion. We will have time for questions and answers at the end of the interview with Steve and Lisa. So if you didn't get to ask your question here, there will be some time there. So thanks so much for being part of our reunion, and look forward to working with all of you guys and having you guys as part of our work at the center. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep.
Thanks, Brett.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
So now we leave.
I guess so. Laura, are you still on?
Laura's not still on, but yeah, you guys leave. There's another link for y'all to sign into the other webinar. If you don't have it, let me know and I'll have Elizabeth resend it to y'all.
So Lisa and I should leave too and then come back?
Yes, yeah, so it's a different link.